Well, folks, we did it. The Frogs are going bowling. 6 wins and a great 6 win it was. 38-13, the Frogs down Oklahoma State. And I hope to God that my mic is working tonight because there's a lot to talk about. I, of course, am your host, Clint Foster. Thank you so much for tuning in to TCU Postgame Live, wherever you happen to be doing it. Got a fun conversation to be had after that trouncing that the Frogs put on the Pokes. It was one where the Frogs did what they were supposed to do. This is what should have happened. And that's not always a done deal this season. The Frogs doing what they should do. I mean, we can look at Houston, for example. So you got to love that the Frogs took care of business, did a lot of great things. We're going to talk about all of it. Before we get into any of that, though, couple of items I need for y'all to take care of for me. Subscribe to the show, please. Whether you're tuning in on Twitter or on YouTube, please do make sure you're subscribing not only to Big 12 Voice of College Football, where you'll watch my Tuesday show every single week, The Biggest 12, but also to our brand new TCU channel. We're going to start rolling out a lot more exciting things for y'all, the viewing public. So you're definitely going to want to make sure that you are subscribed, part of the community, and so you can be privy to all of the fun things like memberships and super chats that are now available to you on the Big 12 channel, among many, many other things. So do that. Come on, let's grow the show. Let's make this a thing. Also, follow me on Twitter at Clint_Foster55 and follow my personal YouTube channel at Clint Foster Comedy. Y'all, I've got 4 scripts ready to go. Okay, I'm hoping this week my middle school football season is over. All right, so I'm hoping this week, either on Monday or Wednesday, I might be able to put a 4-for-1 video together for y'all at that channel. But, you'll know about it first if you're subscribed and you ring that little ding-a-ling bell. Alrighty. Also, if you are watching on Twitter, welcome. Make sure that you are following the Voice of College Football Twitter account, for God's sake. All right. This is the place that you gotta be. This is where all of the action happens. You got Jackson Johnson's Alabama show live right now on Twitter as well. But of course, you're not interested in that. You're watching the TCU show. Come on. We gotta get time for Alabama. But you got to be a part of this Twitter community. Our official Voice of College Football account on X or Twitter, whatever it is that floats your boat, you're going to get your rankings. You're going to get your ratings. You're going to get your engagement and debate all in one place. Because with the Voice of College Football, there is no off season. Okay. All right. Very exciting stuff. So let's talk about this beatdown that the Frogs put on the Pokes. A lot of exciting stuff. Namely, I want to share this Mark Cohen tweet right out of the gate because this got my senses tingling. In tonight's 38-13 win over Oklahoma State, TCU football had 3 takeaways in the game for the first time since its 2022 college football playoff semifinal win over Michigan. And that is great. We love that. But we also don't love that because that means it's been 2 years since we've had a game with 3 takeaways. But that's great news, right? The Frogs they're doing a thing, right? The Baylor game notwithstanding, you've seen some improvement in some key areas. Hey, we had one of those 3 takeaways, our second big man interception of the year. Holy mackerel, we love that, right? So you got a season where you lose 4 games, 3 of them to SMU, Houston, and Baylor. But you get 2 big man interceptions. Okay, it doesn't even out. But that's nice, right? That's nice. If I had a nickel for every time a TCU defensive lineman intercepted a pass this season, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, right? So that's exciting. The Frogs overall just really controlled the game. Now the running game continued to be lacking, right? The run defense continued to be lacking, but ultimately, this is just not a very good Oklahoma State team, and the Frogs took full advantage of it. Josh Hoover, 26 of 35, 286 yards, and a touchdown. He is really coming into his own as a passer. Y'all know I have been on the Josh Hoover wagon ever since last year. Really, really like this kid a lot. Obviously, he's not as mobile as many might like their college quarterback to be. But, if we could just get some better offensive line play, then that's not that big of an issue, right? My qualms with the team remain the same. The offensive line is not very effective Well, period. They're not very effective. They're not great at moving the line of scrimmage and run blocking. They're not excellent in pass blocking. It's really not ideal when you have to manufacture a run game in the way that Kendall Briles has to with Savion Williams because of the weaknesses of this offensive line. But all that to say, Cam Cook had himself a nice little game. Cam Cook had 2 touchdowns, right? One of which he really just kind of turned nothing into something. So all credit to Cam Cook there. 7 carries on the night, 47 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jordan Bailey with the huge touchdown on the 59-yard reverse. So go Jordan Bailey. That's 2 weeks in a row, a big play from him. And of course, Savion, he was the star of the night. 5 carries, 19 yards, and a touchdown. And I believe he had, 1 receiving touchdown, 7 catches total for 52 yards. That's a heck of a fantasy stat line, baby. Look at that. That's pretty daggum good. And the defense, Alan Bowman wasn't able to do much of anything. Your final stat line for Alan Bowman, 19 of 29, 141 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. That's a 49.2 QBR for those of you keeping track at home. And Ollie Gordon, he did have himself a night. So it felt like this: 25 carries, 121 yards, and a touchdown, 4.8 yards per carry. But I mean, that sounds about right. It seemed like every time he got the ball, he was getting minimum 3 yards, and that just speaks to the state of TCU's run defense. It's a game that you had to win. You got to be bowl eligible. You got to be getting this train moving in the right direction. I think there is a very, very real possibility of TCU finishing 7-5, which would have disappointed me if I heard that at the beginning of the year. But at the end of the day, it's an improvement on last season. And if you can fill some holes on these offensive and defensive lines in the offseason through the transfer portal, I guess, or maybe some of these guys you can develop a little bit. But that's what's holding you want to know what's holding TCU back from competing for Big 12 championships again. That's what it is. And it's a crying shame, right? Because this has been such a fun, chaotic college football season. I mean, BYU is losing to Utah as we speak, right? It's a crying shame that the Frogs aren't able to take advantage of all of this chaos. It seems like, this is reminding me a lot of 2007 for any of you fellow old heads, where it's like, oh my gosh, the whole college football world is blowing up, falling apart at the seams, and TCU's farting around to an 8-win, 7-win record. When we had just come off of a 2 incredible seasons in 05 and 06. It's like, okay, now we're crapping the bed when everything's blowing up around us. Well, I guess that's the way it works sometimes. But a lot of good things to pull out of this. Gary Patterson used to say, if you take care of business in the games that you're supposed to win, then the big games take care of themselves, right? So hopefully we start to put that together. I will say this to you. We are watching the end of Mike Gundy's career in real time. It's a wild thing. It's a wild thing to be on the opposite end of, right? I would be shocked. I feel like this is the game that sealed the deal for him personally, to lose to TCU in this fashion. I think that Oklahoma State's probably going to let him finish out the year. But this guy, I mean, he appears to have lost the locker room. Oklahoma State cannot do anything. I don't know how you keep him around if you're Oklahoma State. I truly do not. Y'all feel free to call in. We got the link there in the chat to call into the show if you'd like to, chat about your, how great you're feeling about us going bowling. Potential bowl scenarios. That's something that we could get into as well. But before we do that, I want to make sure that I let you know about Mark Rogers' new book. If you don't already, it's on Amazon right now. And if you're a college football junkie like me, it is going to be a very, very fun read. Disputed National Champions, College Football's Historic 1990s Reset. It dives deep into the chaotic world of college football championship decisions during the 1990s. This is when things really got wild in the build-up to the BCS arrival in 1998. This pivotal decade reshaped the sport in unprecedented ways, leaving fans and experts alike questioning the system and legitimacy of crowned champions. Disputed National Champions also takes the outcomes of the decade and projects those results into the BCS and various playoff models of the future. So check it out right now. There it is. It's on Amazon. It's so affordable. It's $9.99. Get you a copy today. You're going to want to do that. Let's be real. You're really going to want to do that. Okay. Something else we should mention before we get into potential bowl scenarios. We got to mention the fact that TCU pulled out the split blood uniforms for the first time this year, and with a chrome helmet at that, the purple chrome helmet. And I got to say, the purple chrome helmet really elevated this look to another level. Here's the, for those of you who are living under a rock and didn't watch this game on either TV or in person, and you're like, oh, well, I'll tune into Clint's postgame show, though. This is what the Frogs wore, and I got to say, it looks I was very excited to have the Spikes back. I am one who was really lamenting the loss of the Spikes. And these red chrome face masks, the purple chrome helmets with the old school Frog, beautiful. I really like these helmets with this uniform versus the weird kind of like electric purple that we've worn with them in the past, and like the red Frog. And blech. I was not a fan of these split blood uniforms. I never have been, but I really like it with the purple chrome helmet. Let me know what you think. Come on, join the chat, people. I'm talking all by myself here. I'm all alone. There's no one here beside me. Okay, bowl scenarios. Let's talk about it, because we get to talk about this now. It's official, right? We can make some educated guesses as to where the Frogs might end up playing. Bowl projections. Let's see. Remember what the tie-ins are and what the order in which they come. So, if I'm not mistaken, Texas Bowl. So I feel like realistic bowl scenarios, we could be looking at the Independence Bowl, the Pop-Tart Bowl, or potentially the Liberty Bowl. Potentially. I'm really not certain. Oh my God. Or y'all. Okay. So I'm looking at KSL Sports right now. They have TCU projected in the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, and you're not going to believe who they've got us playing. TCU versus Michigan in the Guaranteed Rate Bowl on December 26th in Phoenix, Arizona. Talk about the bowl rematch that nobody asked for this year. That would be hilarious. That I would probably try and go to that game. I mean, that would be very, very funny. Oh man. I mean, I want the Pop-Tart Bowl just because the Pop-Tart Bowl is hilarious, and I want to be a part of that legacy. I have seen a projection prior to this week that had us playing Army in the Independence Bowl. I want absolutely none of that smoke. Army would destroy us. I feel very confident in saying that. I'm really not sure. It's very unclear in this bowl projection that I'm looking at what rankings are taking you to which bowls. But yeah, Liberty Bowl, that we face off against a middling SEC team in the Liberty Bowl, probably like a Vanderbilt, which again, I don't want any of that smoke. Now I'm kind of wanting this Guaranteed Rate Bowl thing to become a reality. It would just be far too funny. Far too funny. But anyway, it's fun nonetheless that we even get to talk about this, right? We're even looking at potential bowl projections. Exciting times, folks. Exciting times. I got a quick word for you from our sponsor, Voice of College Football Bets. Check it out.
College football is even more exciting with some action on the line. And the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Let's start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread. I've got a 40-year track record. In fact, in 2023, at $100 played per game, you would have netted over $9,300. And guess what? I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill, our ace in the hole, show stopper from Wager Talk. 6 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick, which went 21-5 against the spread the last 2 seasons. I repeat, 21-5 against the spread. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Steve Dace and Matt Zemek. Become a YouTube channel member or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2024 a winner now.
You know, before we close this thing out, it's really worth mentioning the night that J.P. Richardson had. They were getting him the ball early and often. It's only right, him being the former Oklahoma State Cowboy that he is. J.P., number 7 receptions for number 7 for an even 100 yards. I really wanted him to get in the end zone, but wasn't able to find it. Great night for him, though, nonetheless. Frogs winning across the board, doing very great things. And, folks, we are going bowling. Here's the thing. I know a lot of y'all, you don't get excited about the bowl games. You say, oh, if it's not the playoff, I don't want it. I don't care. Why does it matter? Let me tell you what. It matters, okay? Because it matters for 2 reasons. First of all, you get to watch another game. Okay, so that's fun. And you can get a trophy out of it. So actually 3 reasons. You get 15 extra practices. That is the biggest piece of this. Further opportunity to improve, especially with a team like TCU that needs those extra practices. The O-line needs those extra reps very, very desperately. And you know what? It means a lot to the kids, okay? Yes, we're in a day and age where we have people sitting out of bowl games because they're trying to protect their draft stock and this, that, and the other. But as somebody who is a part of the program for 4 years, bowl games are fun. Hot take. They're fun, okay? You get a bunch of swag. You get to go on a trip for like a week to someplace usually that's pretty cool, and you get to do a lot of activities, and then you play a team you wouldn't normally play, and hey, maybe you get a trophy out of it, right? It's a fun experience. It's great for the kids. It's great for the team. It makes them better, and I am happy about it. Hey, you know what? Maybe it's a controversial take, but Clint Foster is pro winning. I'm not ashamed to admit it, okay? I am pro victory, and that is exactly what we got tonight, a victory for those Horned Frogs. Thank you all for tuning in to another TCU postgame live. We got another win to talk about. Hopefully we got 2 more wins to talk about before this regular season is over with. Feel really good about one of these games, feel not so good about the other one. But I will be here to break it down with you regardless. In the meantime, enjoy the bye week coming up. Get yourself rested up, okay? Get those injuries salved and healed, all right, so that you can be focused on that Arizona game whenever those Wildcats come to town. They try and bear down on us. Until then, make sure that you are following all the things that you need to follow. Follow me on Twitter at Clint_Foster55. There it is on the screen right there. And my personal YouTube channel at Clint Foster Comedy. I'm also working on that documentary for y'all. Okay, hopefully I'll have a teaser out within a couple of weeks. I'm working on acquiring some game footage, but a lot of exciting developments that I cannot wait to share with you. Subscribe to the show at Big 12 Voice of College Football every Tuesday night, the Biggest 12, and subscribe to the TCU channel if you're watching this on the TCU channel, or if you're not, go there and subscribe to it. Until then, love y'all, and go Frogs.